Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sonia Doswell with Solmanad, and I'm back in Seattle, Washington on a lovely spring day outside. And I have a very interesting story that I'd like to share with you today. I have two very special guests with us. We have Lisa and David Mitz here with us of One New Man Ministries. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're so glad that you guys are here. I learned about the Mitts and their ministry, what they've been doing here in the greater Seattle area about 15 years ago, and this is actually the first time that I've had the opportunity to sit down and talk with them about their latest endeavor. And we decided this is a story that really needs to get out. We want to get as much press behind this as possible. It's a very important message, and it's one that we wanted our viewers at Solmanad to hear. So let us talk about the subject of human trafficking, okay? From what I understand in my research, we have an international foundation by the name of the Defender Foundation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's a very strong international organization that's been successful in fighting human trafficking, right?
Well, actually, they just started about a year and a half ago, but in that year and a half, they have some amazing testimonies of rescuing victims of trafficking. And they're just now, in fact, in Jacksonville, Florida, where they're centered, making amazing headway in working with law enforcement agencies and even trying to get this information into some of the public school systems, too.
Oh, that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought of that because it truly is affecting our children today. And we'll talk about runaways and children who are thrown into or choose prostitution for various reasons. But, it does affect many homes, whether they realize it or not today. And I really want to have the focus on human trafficking here in the United States and more specifically here in the Seattle area. So you two are helping to launch the Seattle chapter, correct?
Right. Yeah, we're starting the Seattle chapter of the Defender Foundation. We actually have begun already putting together all the infrastructure, and we're part of the national organization already. But we have an event coming up that we're gearing towards, which is going to be our real kickoff.
Can we talk a little bit about the event? This is the one in June, correct?
Yes.
June 16th. Woo, coming up soon.
Yes.
Lisa, let's talk about the event.
We are actually going to be doing a benefit concert to raise the funds necessary for the vision of the Seattle chapter of the Defender, which includes building a restoration, more than a safe house. It's more of the long-term vision of restoring these victims back to who they are, their identity, their destiny that God has originally intended for them.
Sure.
Because unfortunately, a lot of times we will want to help and restore the victims, but if we don't give them a sense of purpose, they go right back to where what was comfortable, they don't know who they are. And so our heart is to do that. And so the concert is a focal point of bringing the city together for raising the funds, and also we will be having a lot of special guests there. We've invited the press, we've invited pastors, and also some of the actors of the recent music video as well that we've done.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the music video?
Yeah, well, let's see, it's an amazing story, but David actually was the one that got inspired for the music video. He saw a video called Silence is Shameful, and it was just a very basic music video about a girl that was being dragged into a home, a house for trafficking. And after that, we were so stirred. Here we are, pastors, leaders in the city, not knowing that it's so prevalent right here in Seattle, in the United States. And so I had just released my last album, my recent album called You Found Me. And on that album is a song called Where Has Love Gone? And the song so depicts a typical situation, I would say, for trafficking. David said, we've got to do a music video for this because this can reach into hearts. Whereas a lot of times, you get a lot of information, it's over the head.
Sure.
But a video or music goes right to the heart.
Indeed.
And so I was actually able to meet a very talented director here, Gary Volker from Experience Studios.
Sure.
And we just finished a couple weeks ago filming. Hopefully it's going to be released in the next few weeks for a massive online launch. And then it will be featured at the concert on a big screen. along with, I've invited a couple of other local musicians and artists who are very good to come in.
That sounds interesting. I know I'm hoping to have the opportunity to fly out and participate as well. Come there with some media team and interview you guys and some of the other artists beforehand. So for those who are watching right now, if they're interested in getting their tickets to attend this benefit, where can they go to get their tickets, Lisa?
They can go to my website, lisamitz.com. They can also go to our ministry, onenewman.org.
Okay.
They can pay for on PayPal or credit card.
Sure.
And we're just really excited to see this as an opportunity to bring, you hear the word unity a lot.
Sure.
Sometimes in a good way, sometimes it's overused, but our heart is to really bring a unified vision of working together. We'd love for other human trafficking agencies to be there as a support for this city, because there's so much right here.
There is indeed. And in fact, Lisa, I would like to go ahead and back up. Let's just backpedal here a little bit because, for those of you who are watching here in the United States, I know it can be a little bit difficult to wrap your brain around human trafficking. We think of this as a problem in Europe and in India and in Asia, but in fact, it is a dire problem right here in the United States. And in fact, Seattle has the highest number of victims in human trafficking over any other city in the United States, correct?
Yes, the FBI conducted a nationwide sting operation for child prostitution, most of whom are there because of human trafficking. And Seattle came out #1 in the country. That was just 2009, and it's gotten worse since then. So there was some talk about Seattle being #4 for human trafficking, but now everybody's clear that Seattle is at the top. And so it is something that, it's a cry of God's heart for this area.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about this then. Again, just trying to help our viewers wrap their heads around this. Human trafficking. So we're talking, the term that you might be familiar with is our sex slaves. And where do these victims come from? Where do these girls come from? Is it from next door? Is it from across town? Is it from over across the Pacific? Or, down in the South? Where are these victims coming from, David?
They come from everywhere. I mean, a teenage runaway is a possible victim of human trafficking, very likely right now. They also are imported. We one of the reasons Seattle is one of the top places is we have a very active port here. Yes. And so they're brought in on ships from Russia, from China, from all over Eastern Europe. And they're brought in and in crates, just like vegetables. They're just stacked in a crate. Maybe as many as 50% will die in the voyage. They'll just toss those bodies out and just continue on with the rest of them. And the sad reality is the former drug traffickers are now human traffickers. It's just a lot easier for them. They can make a lot more money. An average child will earn them $150,000 to $200,000 a year. They'll keep them for 3 to 7 years, at which time they usually die. It is such a tragedy, but it's real business. It's real organized crime. These are professionals. This is not just some one sicko creep somewhere. This is real criminals. And it's something that, it's only going to change when the hearts of people change.
Yes, that is.
And exactly, which is why we need to get this message out today. Now, talking again about the girls and trying to put some faces and some stories behind them, are we talking about 15-year-old girls, 18-year-old girls? I mean, what kind of ages are we talking about?
So the average ages is between 13 and 17 years old. And actually, the ones who really know the high finance end of it, the traffickers, the high-end pimps and people that are involved at this level, go for the younger because they know, as sick as it is, that a younger child is going to earn far more money even than an 18-year-old. And in some of the hardcore cases, much of this is all orchestrated and fueled by pornography. And so many times what will happen is they will also sell these slaves, these children, for pornographic films, snuff films. Sometimes these younger children, 12, 13, are actually killed. Those are your, worst cases, but they do happen. Others will be used over and over again when they're when they're taken, or like in the story of our music video, it's a typical story of a girl thinking she's coming to become a model, and then their passports are taken, they're raped, beaten, and drugged, and after that, they completely lose who they are and themselves. They're threatened. So, you know, it's just a horrific reality right now that we need to wake up to.
Yes, and David, when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned that approximately 25% of these girls come from prostitution. Is that right?
Well, about 25%, yeah, are actually from the world of prostitution. 75% of them are they're kidnapped, basically. They're, a lot of it, in sales, they would call it bait and switch. They give their parents one picture, and then they switch them over into another picture. They'll come over thinking they're going to get a nanny position, and there is no nanny position. So it's a lot of deception, very high tech. They use very high quality media and things like that to recruit them. And the other big place that they get a lot of them from are they have a huge gambling problem and alcoholism and as you know, in the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union countries. And so a lot of these fathers will end up, to pay off their debts, give a child over. So there's a lot of betrayal, a lot of hurt, disorientation, dislocation. And so
it's absolutely heartbreaking. And another statistic I'd like you to bring up is you were talking about the girls who run away. You know, for whatever reason, she's upset with her parents, broke up with a boyfriend, you know, fight with the coach or the sibling or whatever. For whatever reason, she runs away. And how long can she be on the street before some of these people might pick her up? Days, weeks? What was it you were sharing with me earlier? Within minutes?
Yeah, well, actually, it depends on what area of town. So if she's in a very high volatile, there's certain, they've already done research, like for instance, here in Seattle, I don't remember it's on our PowerPoint presentation, but there are certain key streets that are known, is Aurora one of them, that are known as high-level trafficking areas. So if a runaway ends up, you know, usually within a half an hour tops probably, if she's in that situation, she's going to be marked or, you know, taken. So, and, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily that's the truth maybe in a much
more rural
kinder,
area.
more rural area, but the facts remain in these high trafficking areas.
Yeah, definitely in the larger cities and in those areas. You know, we were talking earlier about the work that you guys are doing and kind of comparing it a little bit to the tremendous work that Tommy and Matthew Barnett launched there in Los Angeles. Of course, they're now in Phoenix and New York. And the vision that you guys have here is so big. It's actually going to take many volunteers, isn't it? Can you share with us a little bit about this vision? We're not talking like 3 beds for rescuing these girls. Share a little bit more about the vision that you have.
Well, our vision is to actually build a restoration center, much like the Barnetts have. And the idea is that we have to rebuild these girls and who they are, and we have a sense of purpose. And those are easy-sounding words, but difficult to accomplish once somebody has been basically turned into a slave. And
so they're not coming to stay with you for 2 weeks.
No, it's you know, there will be short acute care that has to happen at first. We won't be doing that. There are plenty of acute care setups for the very first beginning part of this, of detoxing and drug and there's HIV testing and all these things that are necessary. Once the girl clears that time, and we do, the Defender Foundation, we do, the Seattle chapter, we will be walking them through that process because it's important to maintain relationship throughout so they don't feel like they're just stubbed into a system. But then as they transition out of that phase, then our vision is to have a center where they will be able to begin to learn how to be a human being again, learn how to have a sense of vision, have purpose, and trust, rebuild their sense of who they are and that they matter.
A new identity.
A new identity.
Their true identity.
That's right. And so that's really our heart. And we have a lot of tools that we've learned over the years and people to help us do that. But that's our goal, is to give them a sense of who am I and why am I here. I'm not just here to be a prostitute for some guy.
That's
I'm
right.
here because I have a destiny.
And I think
Amen.
one thing that David said is very key is that their trust has been so broken. So one of the visions of the Defender that we really love is that they've already put this into play over the last year and a half of rescuing different victims, where from the beginning they have a team member with that girl, so that she has some point of contact,
Right.
where she's not being shuffled from one place, because she is going to need care and all of that. But at least we have from a beginning to an end process of continuity and building that relationship and trust.
Right.
And hopefully, look, ideally it would be great to have the parents involved. That
Yes.
is our heart, is that we want to see them restored to their families,
Yes.
to their parents, but they're probably going to need some help along
Yeah.
that way for that to happen.
I can imagine it being a long and difficult transition, but one that can be done and can be done successfully. Well, the two of you just exude God's love. It's so clear, and so I'm excited to hear the success stories and the testimonies that are going to come out of the great work that you're doing, the lives that are going to be saved, and their fruit that they'll be bearing in their new lives. Once they are saved, rescued, and restored.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate that you would take the time to interview us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's an issue that's on my heart and one that I believe in. So for those of you who are watching, if you are interested in coming together alongside David and Lisa Mitz and locking arms with this organization to fight human trafficking here in the Seattle area in the Pacific Northwest, you can contact them at Lisa Mitz, that's MITTS, okay, lisamitz.com or .org, dear? .com, lisamitz.com, for more information on how you may contribute. Whether it is a financial contribution, if you don't mind me saying, I'll just say, these things do take a lot of money. And if God puts on your heart to give $5 today. And if He puts on your heart to give more, please follow through and be obedient. If you can come and be a volunteer at the center, my goodness, I can imagine this screening process that one would have to go through to be able to do that. But if God puts this on your heart and you want to do that, please contact Lisa and David Mitz today so that you can do your part in trying to fight this horrible, horrific offense against these young victims here in the Seattle area. Well, thank you very much, Lisa and David, for joining us here on Solmana today. I hope I can join you there at the benefit concert.
Yes, us too. We hope we're going to get to see you there.
That would be a pleasant surprise. We'd love that.
Yes.
There are great things ahead indeed. Well, this is Sonia Doswell, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off just for now. So you be blessed in whatever you put your hands to do. And remember to inhale love so you too can exhale compassion. Until next time, ciao.